Okay, now that the hype is settling down, we can say that the Switch 2 is indeed an amazing console. But let's be real, not everything is an upgrade. Here are 5 things the original Switch actually does better than the Switch 2. Let's get into it. Battery life. The Switch 2 is more powerful, sure, but that power comes at a cost. On the OG Switch, especially the V2 and OLED, you could squeeze out up to 7 hours on light games. For games like Zelda, you could easily get over 5 hours of gameplay. The Switch 2, you're lucky to hit 3 hours. Especially on games like Mario Kart World or Cyberpunk, we're talking about around 2 hours of battery. So yeah, if you're gaming on the go, you'll notice the difference for sure. The screen. Now, if you had the regular Switch, this might not matter. But if you were using the OLED, that screen was gorgeous. Deep blacks, rich colors, super punchy. Yes, the Switch 2 has a great modern LCD screen, which is way better than the one used on the V1, V2, or Lite. But side by side, the OLED still wins on image quality. Check this test I did comparing Luigi's Mansion 3 on the OLED and the Switch 2. Not bad at all, but we still see a little more contrast and saturation on the OLED screen. Portability. The original Switch, and it doesn't even need to be the Lite model, is lighter, thinner, and just easier to carry around. The Switch 2 has a really nice and bigger screen, but ends up being chunkier, and you definitely feel it during longer sessions. If you loved taking your Switch everywhere, this is a small but real step back. I have a video comparing the sizes of all models. I'll leave the link in the description. JoyCon Connection. Okay, so this one might be a bit controversial. Even though the original Joy-Con rails weren't the most durable, at least they physically locked into the console. On the Switch 2, the Joy-Cons are held in place by magnets, which means if you apply enough pressure or pull at the right angle, they can pop right off. You might have seen this case from D-Brand. It's been all over the internet. There are tons of videos of people showing how easily the Joy-Cons disconnect when the case is on. And that's because the plastic creates a lever effect with the controllers, making it super easy for the Joy-Cons to snap off. So just be careful how you hold or pull them. Because even though the magnets are supposed to be strong, the Joy-Cons can still pop off and potentially make the whole console fall. Game prices. It was expected that a new generation would bring higher prices. Switch 1 games were still $60 at launch, while PlayStation and Xbox had already moved to $70 for their first-party titles. But now, Nintendo has introduced variable pricing, which means some games can go even higher. Mario Kart World, for example, is priced at $80. And we can probably expect other major titles like Zelda, Animal Crossing, and Mario to follow the same trend. The good news? Switch 1 games are still fully compatible with the Switch 2. So if you missed out on any of them, you can grab some great games at lower prices and still play them on the new console. So yeah, the Switch 2 is the future, no doubt. But there are still a few things the OG did better. Things like the battery and screen will almost definitely get an upgrade in a mid-gen refresh, just like we saw with the Switch V2 and later with the OLED model. It's pretty safe to expect something similar a couple of years down the line. But what do you think? Did Nintendo make the right trade-offs? Leave a comment with your opinion, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.